But a business of entrainment is when you carry your energy in your business too. So an example of this is with your overall business, and I'll illustrate it. If your personal energy looks like this, and your business energy looks like this, when they mesh together to create your business energy, there are very few spots where those two frequencies mesh. There's here, but there are much bigger spots where those two frequencies are completely out of balance. And you can see that in the points. That's when your business is out of alignment. Ideally, what you're looking for is your energy to flow and your business energies to be so aligned that you can't tell them apart. Now, if I could draw better, that would actually just be one line. It would be a single line that works all at the same time. The greater the balance is, the greater the alignment is, the more flow you have in your business. And that helps you move your business and your customers along their customer journey. So all kinds of things can cause this misalignment. Things like using a business coach, a guide, or a mentor that maybe doesn't understand your spiritual side and leaves that out of discussions, or even using a very spiritual business coach or guide that doesn't understand the processes that work really well on the planet to grow a business. Either way, if you're only focused on one of those, you're going to have a business that's out of alignment. So like a pyramid, you want all three elements of the spiritual life triad to work together. And what happens is by focusing on one energy too much, that's where you get that misalignment. And I've had clients who've been trying to put courses together and focused really heavily on one thing and completely forgot about the others. So what that looks like is you go from a pretend this is a perfectly balanced pyramid to the unbalanced pyramid, which may have one really short leg or one really long leg. But what you get is a course that's completely unbalanced. Now, you can use the spiritual life triad to work your way through that imbalance, because what happens is a course that's created without balance, with a focus too heavy on, say, community accountability, is that course, it will no longer resonate with your clients. And to be perfectly frank, it's really not going to resonate with you either. Now, the personal development coach I was working with, when she started to use the spiritual life triad to figure out why her course was unbalanced, she determined that sales were down because she had focused so heavily on community accountability and meeting what her community wanted that she completely forgot about radical honesty. And that radical honesty leaned a lot into how she loved to share courses, and that's live presentation. Instead of putting the live presentation into the course, she went 100% with everything her community wanted and ended up with a course that really didn't represent or reflect her. That misalignment was reflected in the lack of sales. Now, she used her conscious ego released when she was really going through the process of asking, what's wrong with this course? Because it takes a lot when you've created a course, done the marketing, sent it out to the world, and not much comes back. It takes a lot to admit that maybe you did something that you shouldn't quite have done, or you didn't get something aligned. That's where releasing your ego makes it much easier to do the kind of investigation, realignment, and redesign that you need to do to have a really fabulous course. So how do you know if you're out of alignment other than sales falling off? Well, you might have an offer that just feels off. Something is missing. Or you have a sudden dislike for your website copy and you rewrite it endlessly and it still doesn't get any better. Or there's just that intuitive nudge that something isn't right, even if you can't name it. Or it could be marketing language that no matter what you do feels pushy and focuses on the negative rather than on the transformational aspects of your work. This happened to me with my website. I knew the foundational language was there. It was focused on my business acumen, but still, I felt like I couldn't push it over the line. And I had to get radically honest with myself and ask myself what was missing. Well, the missing piece for me was my spirituality. It guides everything I do. And when I rewrote all of the content after setting my ego aside, the content talked about my belief in my spirituality. It talked about my belief in the dragons, my work with the guides, my general acknowledgement of the universe. And all of a sudden, I had this amazing website copy that 100% reflected who I am. And to this day, still does. I actually still go to that website and pull out marketing copy that I use in all kinds of different things. I don't need to rewrite it. And that's part of letting go of that hustle, creating language that you can use over and over again that always works just exactly for you and feels good. When your business aligns with you, flow happens automatically, hustle softens, and your heart takes the lead. Misalignment can happen even through growth. And I think that's important because we don't always think about it. And it can be as simple as a small energy shift that you may not even realize until you sit down and actively look at your, say, website copy or marketing copy and realize that now the colors you used or maybe the images you used just aren't quite right, don't quite match your new vibration. And taking the time to update that means that you're staying in alignment so much easier. And your business doesn't get to a point where everything kind of falls off the shelf at the same time. Everyday activities can push us out of alignment. For instance, you may leave the house and you're feeling great. Then somebody cuts you off. Somebody else driving really slowly in front of you, and you feel like you could probably grow grass while you're waiting for them to get through that light, or they zip into the parking place you were going to grab. Well, now you're annoyed, right? And annoyance isn't aligned with the peace that your soul craves. Your ego gets triggered. So by the time you get home and you sit down to write that marketing copy, doing that writing feels really brutal. And once you get it written, put out into the world, your people feel that energy disconnect and you feel the energy disconnect. That creates sales that slow down. It creates a bank account that tightens. You start DMing strangers. You attend networking events and pitch offers there that you don't even really like. You scroll social media trying to figure out what is wrong. That's the hustle trap. The way out is the spiritual life triad. And when radical honesty is off, your ego takes over and it tries to force results. That force erodes trust with your community, and you stop responding to what they actually need. Your sales stall. The spiritual life triad brings you back into alignment, back into your heart, your values, your connection, and your ego becomes a tool instead of a driver. Radical honesty is often the hardest piece of all of this because trauma shapes our ego and clouds truth. and community accountability becomes confusing, signals get crossed. The spiritual life triad is your guide back to alignment, out of hustle, and back into your heart. Alignment within your life and with your business is the key to flow. It's the authentic expression that resonates with your heart, your soul, and your potential clients. And the triad gives you the power to change every minute of every day. You can shift out of whatever energy you don't want to be in back into your heart so that you're sharing from aligned energy and magnetically pulling people to you. Peace and flow are accessible to you at any time. And the reality is that not every day will be a model of flow. And you're not always going to be the peaceful goddess, but you can always have tools at hand to get there, the tools to build a business and a life with heart.